Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Aztec Monk, and today we're going to be answering the question, why is South Park such an amazing TV show? Now, for those of you who haven't heard of it somehow, this is the show written by Matt Stone and Trey Parker, which follows the adventures in the crazy, tiny Colorado town known as South Park. And it mainly focuses on four young boys, Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny. And it's rude, vulgar, disgusting, and therefore extremely funny. But unlike Family Guy, whose jokes just exist to be offensive, South Park's jokes and humor actually follow such a well-written storyline that it allows them to create these interesting and engaging characters and make engaging social commentary, rather than just showing horrible imagery and expecting people to laugh. So why is it so well written? Well, it comes down to the characters, really, in my opinion. The four main characters, Stan, Kyle, Cartman, and Kenny, who are all around 10, I think, though they age throughout the show, so that might be different now. But why? Let's analyze all of these characters. Number one is Stan. Now, he, from first glance, would be the generic character. Very jock, very main character. If this wasn't the show that it was, he probably would be the main character. But, here's the interesting thing. Though Stan looks like he could be the popular one, with the fact that he almost always has a girlfriend, is always the one who's trying to be the most normal, he actually has the most problems out of all of the characters. He doesn't know what his identity is. He doesn't know why he is actually doing what he does. This is clear in the episodes all about the Mormons and the Scientology episodes, where he is looking for these religions for a way to find himself and figure out what is going on and what the world is about. And it shows that he is ignorant about his own identity. And that's where his main character trait comes in. Ignorance. He doesn't know why everything is happening, and that is what scares him, and that is why he seeks out these different identities. And when his world eventually comes crashing down around him, like in the episode where he turns into a goth after Wendy dumps him, he starts to question everything, and he goes into a depressed anger because the world feels painful, and he can't escape it anymore. He doesn't have any other identity, so he takes the identity of a cynical asshole. And then, that is what makes him so unique, and that is what makes his storyline so unique. It allows us to show what these different ideologies and theological beliefs affect us, and how they control us, and how they give us an identity in our own minds. And then there is his best friend Kyle, the Jewish boy. A Jewish best friend, I've never heard that before. Anyway, he is the smart one, and that's not saying much, but hey, what you gonna do? Basically, he is always the one making speeches, trying to explain everything. He thinks he's great, and he wants to show the world and be the intelligent thinking one, I guess. He, unlike, say, Cartman or Stan or even Kenny, they all want chaos, and they want to continue the cycle, whereas Kyle is constantly trying to show the stupidity of this through his various speeches and his various different types of attitudes towards the world. And that's his biggest flaw in the eyes of his peers. Especially this is explored in the, I believe it's season 14, I think? The second to most recent season, where he's making speeches and everyone is sick of it, and I can't blame them. I mean, it really does suck so hard. But that's the interesting thing. His intelligence is basically not intelligence. It's his ego and his trying to show that the world isn't this horrible place that South Park sees it as. And that's where his main character trait comes in. Ego and intelligence. He is incredibly smart, and he is by far the smartest character in all of the South Park show, but he only sees it that way. He doesn't see it as how the rest of the town sees it, which is this egotistical, up-his-own-ass asshole who thinks he knows everything. This is explored in multiple episodes, all the way back from, say, the smoking episode, where he's constantly trying to explain to everyone how their actions are going to end badly, and they just don't listen to him. And when they obviously do, they all say, oh, well, we've learned our lesson, but no, they haven't. And those are his own words. And there's even some episodes where his intelligence fails him, like the Passion of the Jew episode, where he is constantly feeling guilty about his Jewish heritage because of the movie Passion of the Christ, because he can't explain it logically. Logically, what they did was evil, and logically, he hates himself for that, and for being part of something that was so evil very long ago. And I guess that's a commentary on all religion, but that's a video for another day, I suppose. So, Kyle stands there and he's the intelligent one. But what about Kenny? No, Kenny is an interesting character, because Kenny is a blank slate, or at least he appears to be. Because obviously he's wearing the parka, nobody can understand him when he speaks. And this leads to people being unsure of what is actually going on and what he's actually thinking and saying, unless the characters in the show actually just come out and say it. Now, here's the interesting thing. After the superhero episodes, the Coon and Friends, Coon Hindsight, all those episodes, a very interesting thing occurs that changes his character fundamentally. He goes from being a very blank slate who doesn't understand what is going on and who is hard to visualize as an actual person, and he becomes a very self-aware character, because it's revealed in the South Park superhero episodes that he knows what happens, and he knows that when he's dying, he's coming back to life. And this is what changes him. He goes from being a blank slate to being somebody who's trying to keep his life in check. And that's where his main character point comes in, which is control. He is trying to control his life and make his life better. I mean, just look at the episode, say, The Poor Kid, or the episode where he becomes a delivery boy because Soto Sopa is taking over his area of the town. He is doing this to help his family and to help his sister. In The Poor Kid, he becomes a superhero just to protect his sister so that she'll know that she's safe. In the episode Soto Sopa, he is delivering food and doing all these chores for small amounts of money, but he's doing it because he wants to make his family happy, and he's trying to keep his life in check. And that is just who he is. He's not this random character. He's not just the generic, oh, look, boobs, which he was portrayed as in the original earlier seasons. Now he's somebody who's trying to be a normal, fit-in person of society. He's trying to present himself in such a way. And this is clear in, say, the Going Naive episode, where he's sending the letters back to Stan, Kyle, and Cartman, and he is trying to act like a self-obsessed, boob-obsessed kid, but it's clear in his writing that he isn't. And this is interesting, because it could be argued that he is of the same intelligence as Kyle, but he implements his intelligence in a different way. Kyle implements his intelligence as literal intellect, as in knowing all about the world and knowing about morality, whereas Kenny implements his intelligence as protecting his own world and keeping his morality in check and his family's morality in check. His sister is a key part of his life, and that's why a lot of his episodes, which are keenly focused on him, involve his sister, and involve how dysfunctional his family is, but he's trying to move on with his life. And then we come to the big one. And by big, I mean fat as fuck. This is Cartman. Eric Cartman, who is... He's evil. There's no other way of putting it. Cartman is the most evil character put to TV, and it really shows. He's a self-obsessed evil monster who is just trying to get whatever he can. This can be through such intelligent levels of manipulation that he often succeeds in his plan. Even when you look at episodes like Scott Tenorman Must Die, where he pushes the limits of his mind and the limits of the human emotion to gain what he wants. He doesn't show any idea of empathy or sympathy. He refuses to be beaten, and this is what makes him so evil. He represents the ego, the anger, all of the darker sides of South Park that come through in his episodes. The episodes where he's trying to get the two black kids to go out because he's racist, but he doesn't even know it himself. He just wants them to be like that. And it shows how interesting he is as a character. It's a delve into a psychotic mind that doesn't even know it's really psychotic. So there are your four characters: ego, intelligence, protection, and evil. And that is the four biggest plot points in the show. And that is what makes it such a good show. It bounces between all these different social commentaries about discovering your own identity, controlling your own intelligence, and thinking about the rest of the world, whilst the rest of the world around you is so chaotic. Sure, the episodes are insane. There's a giant freaking robot Barbara Streisand, for Christ's sake. But when it comes down to it, the main themes, the main ideas are, what can we do as a person to keep going on in life? What is this commentary about life? And it's an incredible, deep show that, if you watch it closely, can teach people about so many different things. It can teach people religious tolerance. It can teach people how to present yourself in a way that doesn't show you as evil. It can show the stupidity of society and the obsession with irrelevant things, such as the Warcraft episode, where they were obsessing with this game and ending their entire life outside of it and turning into horrible people. And how does the episode end? Well, they can play the game now again, because the guy who was killing them is gone. So, it was pointless. They wasted all that time killing a guy to play a game that they were wasting their time on already. It shows how obsession works and how the human brain doesn't understand priorities. And that is why South Park is so good. It shows these characters in these amazing situations, and it keeps them grounded in the ideas that they're trying to set forward. Sure, these aren't the only characters. There's Butters, the super nice kid. There's Mr. Garrison, who was in denial about his own homosexuality for a large part of the show. Or there's hundreds of other characters that are just trying to do these different things and have these own motivations. But it comes down to it. What is the main point of the show? And the main point of South Park is to show the world in a way that's showing the insanity of it, because our world is an insane, dangerous world, but it's also showing the reality of it, and showing what is really underlying everything. These underlying ideas of who we are and what we should be, and everything in the world that's controversial and also angry. South Park is an amazing show, and if you don't watch it, start watching it, because it will help you, and it will help you understand why everything in the world happens, basically. So that's why South Park is one of my favorite shows. Please leave your comments down below explaining your opinions on South Park, and leave some more questions for me to answer. I'm going to answer any question that you put down below, especially if it's really interesting. It can be about anything: video games, movies, TV shows, dumb people on the internet, just anything. I hope you enjoyed this video style. I hope you enjoyed me. I hope you enjoyed my voice. I've been the Aztec Monk. I'm out. Peace.